Hello, my name's Billy Reeves, and welcome to the Kscope Podcast. In this edition, my guest is the Pineapple Thief front person and solo artist Bruce Soord, with whom I've just performed our new theme tune there. Hope you dug it. We're going to ask the artists to add to it as we go through the year. I think it needs a top line. And the reason that I was with Bruce Soord recently is that it's the 10th anniversary of his debut solo album, which is coming out in a new edition, remastered, half speed at Abbey Road. Bruce and I discussed the move from band member to solo artist and back again. We discussed the early days of the group and the difficulties of going from semi-pro to fully pro and who supported him through that. I got Bruce to play us an exclusive acoustic number on the beautiful baritone guitar, which is one of my favourites of his collection. We played a game of Poisonous Mushroom or prog rock group, which will be sweeping the nation shortly. But I started by asking him about the gestation of his first solo album.
It was really difficult, actually. I spent a lot of time writing the first iteration of this album, and I sent it to Tony at Kscope, and he kind of phoned me and said, you knew straight away. And I was like, oh no, he doesn't like it. And then I basically spent a lot of time with Johnny Wilkes at Kscope talking about how I should get my head into a solo mindset. Because I don't think I really understood what I was trying to do. And then, so really I've got Johnny to thank for that. And then I went back into the studio, just ripped it all up and started again. And then it just came out.
What did Tony say about the first? Tell us about the first iteration then.
I think I was trying too hard. I think what's happened with me and a lot of artists, I guess, who have a studio, and is you end up being a jack of all trades. I play everything. And on early Pineapple Thief records, I played everything. The drums, the bass, the keyboards. And I'm not a very good keyboard player. I play bass like a guitar player, which is very annoying for bass players to look at. I'm an all right guitar player and I can sing. And so that's what I took. I said, right, let's just focus on your songwriting, your voice and the guitar. Those are what what you grew up honing. Those are skills you developed. And then it became certainly a less is more approach as well. So, and then, that was a conversation. And then it just became, when I stopped trying so hard, the songs came out.
Oh, right. Okay. So there was different bunch of songs.
Yeah, there was a few actually that I kind of, the songs, that the words were still in the right place, but the music was just not compatible with the words. It was strange.
Right.
It was really strange. And you'd think that after so many years of songwriting, I would have kind of understood what to do. But sometimes you got to admit that you do need someone to like give you a slap around the face and say, Bruce.
Just continuing down that line, because it didn't sound like you. Is that what Tony meant? It didn't. It wasn't what it was expecting.
It sounded like me, but I don't think it was sincere. I think that this is another thing that songwriters will often tell you is that the best songs come out without any kind of,
brain.
When you completely let go and it comes from some weird place you can't put your finger on. If you start to sit down and think, right, I'm going to write this song in this style and I'm going to do, and I've got this idea in my head and it's going to be like that. And you sit down and you think, I'm Bruce Soord, this is going to be amazing. And then after like a couple of days of flogging this horse, you realise that it's actually well and truly dead.
Interesting. So tell us about the sleeve, because I love the sleeve, because I know that thematically you were being sort of retrospective, talking about living in hometown for such a long time. Does the sleeve represent?
Yeah, it's actually it's really funny looking back on that sleeve, because the album, like you said, it's very much about me. And I thought it's a solo album. It's all going to be me's, I's, we's, all of that, all the way through. And my really good friend, a guy called Sandy, had this idea of taking me around all the places in my hometown of Yeovil and filming. And photographing.
Right.
So the front cover is actually me in the playing field of my school, which is, it was like, everything's relative, but for me it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life when I was ripped out of my school in Salisbury where I lived, and halfway through the first year dumped into this. I was in a grammar school, which is I don't agree with grammar schools in hindsight, but this is where you separate at 11. You separate the good from the. And then I was put into this school, so it was all boys. And then I came to this school, which was girls and boys, and it was all kinds of stuff going on, and so it's a shock to system. Yeah. And then I remember the first day I was there, we were out in the playtime. The bell went off and everybody was left, and I was left in this field. I had no idea where to go. Christ. I was like, I mean, it's all relative. It's not. Yeah. But as an 11-year-old, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And I just stood there in this silence until a teacher, like 20 minutes later, a teacher wandered out and said, "Are you lost?" And I said, "Yeah." Wow. So that was just, I think I wrote a song called Field Day. Yeah, Field Day, yeah. But it's not about that. It's about finding your path in life. Yeah. That's really what it was about. And so anyway, cut a long story short, that's where the front cover was shot. Wow. Okay. And then there's all these, if you look closely at the front cover, there's all these lines, and these are also in other places, like there's my hometown, my house where I grew up. There's a music shop. I think a lot of musicians always had, and certainly my generation, there's a music shop that you would all hang out in. Yeah. And it was a secondhand music shop, and I would save up my money. I would buy these secondhand valve amps and stinky speakers that people were selling. But that's now turned into a scooter, a scooter shop. So there's a photo of me surrounded by scooters, but that's actually a music shop, which I used to spend all my life in. So all that kind of thing. And he put it together, and it's perfect. It's really perfect. It's really lovely. And that's really interesting because you do look lonely on the cover. Yeah. And I also think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, and there you are, front and centre. Yes. Literally using that phrase, there you are, front and centre. And it's quite, at that point, it was quite unusual for the Pineapple Thief, that kind of subgenre of a genre, to have people on the cover. It was always a pop kind of idea that the person on the sleeve would be looking back at you. Yeah. You see that now, obviously, in thumbnails of sleeves. And there you are, looking back at the listener. You're vulnerable. And I think it comes through on the record. Would that be fair? Yeah, absolutely. Are you vulnerable on the record? Absolutely. I think you... Naked? I think you, as a songwriter, you've got to be vulnerable. Yeah. It's not only you, of course, on it. There's the legendary Darren Charles. I mean, there's only one way to describe him, especially as he, looks like a wizard. Yes. Looks like a ghost. Looks like a court jester. Yeah. What was working with Darren like, especially as if you're supposed to be, doing something relatively commercial? Darren is like one of a kind. Very much so. Yes. And is just an amazing person, and he's really selfless. So I didn't ask him to play, but we'd always share demos, and I would send him some demos, and then he would send me guitar bits, and he said, "Bruce, I just wanted to do this line and stuff," and they were brilliant. So there's there's a song on there, Field Day Part 2, which is really short and probably my favourite track on there. Yeah, and he does these beautiful lead lines, completely makes it. Get lost in this life. Did you learn anything about yourself by writing a solo album? I think what I realised, especially when it got released and when we played our very first show, a live show, as my solo, I realised that when I spoke to people that what I was singing about, these vulnerabilities, these anxieties of being a parent, of growing old, all that kind of stuff that I was sharing, it was really resonated with people. It does, yeah. And that And it kind of made me feel less lonely in this world, you know.
All right.
And, you know, when these people coming up to me and saying, you know, that you had a way of talking to me when I listened to that song. And it's an incredible
freak out.
Yeah, it is. But it does make you think, wow, if I can do that, even for one person, then that's basically why you become a songwriter, isn't it?
Can you remember any track being the one where you thought, I'm just going to have to put this on the bonfire? What nearly didn't make it?
I'm trying to think. So Field Day Part 1, you talk about flogging the dead horse with songs, but sometimes it is, you know, alive and kicking. Maybe it's just asleep or something. But there's lots of songs that you just come back to after leaving them for, you know, a month and realising, oh my goodness, there's where the song is. You know, I remember the Odds. The Odds is a lot of my mates who, they're not all into prog rock, but they all say how much they love the Odds because it's got that catchy, catchy pop song. Yeah. And I remember writing that one when everyone was telling me at the time, because I was doing Magnolia with Pineapple Thief, and everyone was saying, Bruce, are you sure you can do it? Yeah. You haven't got much time. And I said, yes, I can. Everyone was telling me not to bother, that I was making a mistake trying to do the song. So that's where the Odds came from.
I get you, you are lying under pressure. Hear the sirens and the racers getting better. Yeah, this is all you ever wanted, you ever wanted. Hear the sirens and the racers getting closer. Show your last time. Make your last stand. Don't let them tell you that the odds are stacked against you. Show your last time. Make your last stand. Don't let me tell you that the odds are stacked against you.
Who has been supportive for you in this journey? Because it has been a journey, 25 years.
My wife, number one, although it wasn't easy, and we've been through some tough times, especially when I was semi-pro. I think that's the real, if you can get through that semi-pro period. And then I wasn't, because the pressure was on, sometimes I wasn't very nice to be with, you know, in the band, because I was very, especially in the band, I was a bit of a taskmaster with the rest of the guys. And in hindsight, you know, I apologise to them now, because now it's easy, you know, I'm full-time and things are going okay. And it's easy to be nice when things are going well.
That's interesting.
When things were going badly, I would get quite stressed about it.
What do you mean by badly?
Well,
money?
I think around the time, I think it's just over 10 to 12 years ago, when the band is getting legs and things are happening, but you can't go full time. So you're offered tours, and you can just about manage 2 weeks. You're having to take leave from work. Yeah. You're not making money from the tours. Sometimes we were having to pay thousands of pounds when we got back. So that's not an easy sell to a family when you've got bringing up a family. But you're always saying, no, but things are going somewhere, things are happening, you know. And there comes a point where people will say, enough's enough. Yeah. I can't do this anymore. Luckily, that never happened. It nearly happened. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, things started to get...
because you weren't very... Yeah, because it's fine when you're young.
Yes, it's also...
You're indestructible when you're young. Yeah.
And we weren't. We were no longer young. Yeah. So all that, you had that double whammy of that. I think supportive-wise, but then if you look at the band members... You know, especially Steve and John, they've been in it since day one, pretty much. Yeah. And you know, they really supported me as well. Yeah. And now we're all together.
I think that's really charming because you when you did that most recent solo tour, which was at the London Chat, that was fantastic. You said, "Here I am." In a car with my best mate, presumably meaning John. Yes. Unless you were pretending. But I thought that was really charming. But So let's go back to the start a little bit. What started you playing music in the first place? Who were your favourite musicians growing up? Did you feel sort of like slightly, nerdy and recherche because it was different from other people's?
Yeah, I was a complete and utter nerd because when I first got into music, it was really late. I was about 14. I had some friends at school, and this was in the kind of early 80s, so it was when pop was becoming quite,
and post-punk, it was either one or the other, wasn't it?
So I kind of couldn't relate to that very well, and so we went back to 70s prog. So me and my mates formed this really nerdy kind of prog. We'd go buying records, secondhand records. This is when we got into like Yes and Supertramp and all the stuff from the 70s.
So fucking hip now.
Yeah,
true. The irony.
Yeah.
You used to fall over Sky 2 in charity shops.
Yeah, I remember Sky. I had all the Sky records. Blimey. So we would go to each other's houses, and my mate's dad had a posh Linson deck turntables, and we'd sit there and listen to these records. That's when I really fell in love with music. And
big records, big sounding records, big themes, big escapist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was. And you put them on, and you would just close your eyes, and you'd be taken away.
Were you interested in the individuals and they're sort of like, because they're a right bunch of pompous, twits in capes and and millionaires and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't think that really twigged. At that point.
That's really interesting. You just came to it completely cold.
Yeah, I saw them as superheroes.
Yeah, well, they were.
And obviously now, you look back and you think, wow.
You've had one of Supertramp on your records.
I did. Well, that was the thing. So I thought, well, why not? Let's send them an email.
Ask the fee.
My heroes. I've basically air saxophoned or air clarinetted all of his solos.
If I was to now run into the house and steal one record, which would be the record that you would kill me rather than let me go away with it? What is it?
I'd have to pick two. I can't pick one because there's two eras. So when I was a kid, it would have probably been Crime of the Century by Supertramp.
Yeah.
But then my second epiphany was when I listened to Sea Change by Beck. So there's two. He's obviously very keen on keeping with trends as well, I've noticed. But personally, I prefer it when he does his heart on sleeve singer-songwriter stuff.
You used to get stage fright. How did you get over that?
I think, I don't know, again, you do it for so long and the more you go on stage, because stage fright and confidence are kind of one of the same.
Okay.
And I realised that it was making the show worse. It wasn't not what people come to see. And all of a sudden, I had this voice in my head that says, Bruce, why are you worried about how the show is going to go, what people are going to think? Because it's just not going to help in any way. And all of a sudden, I just kind of had this realisation that, okay, let's just go out and this is it. They are going to get me 100%, whether they like it or not. And whether there's a cock up or anything goes wrong, I don't care. And and ever since then, I've had absolutely none. No.
Did you feel as though the band had to be in the same mood as you? If you were aggravated and they were all having a laugh, did you find that annoying?
No, I kind of felt like I was in my. When you go on stage, I kind of feel like I'm in my sort of. We do interact a lot. It is very much a band, and certainly recently it's become a lot more like that. But even when it was high stress and there were people in different sort of headspaces, I was able to just be, myself. Because
obviously I'm reflecting on my brief experience. If I was in a bad mood, I wanted everybody to be in a bad mood. I don't know, because I felt as though people didn't care.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And also there's this sort of, I'm the front man, there's a lot more pressure. There's, I always joke that one tour I did with Catatonia, where I was the guy at the back, playing guitar and doing a bit of singing, and that was so, the pressure's absolutely off. And it's a lot of fun. Okay. But as a front man, you're the guy that has to get this crowd on your side.
True. Well, you're the entertainer, aren't you?
You've
got the red nose and the clown shoes on in a way.
And you have to be prepared to react to, and every crowd is different. and you've got to be able to be prepared to react and change.
Especially if you're playing rock, but with the solo stuff, conversely, of course, you're not rocking the place.
No.
So how do you, what's the different headspace? Again, going back to that, it was quite funny actually, that solo show I saw in London, because you were actually mucking about.
We were, and I guess there's a bit of a contradiction between mucking about and then singing these really quite melancholic songs.
Yeah, it was.
And it was strange, I think, because there was such a warm atmosphere. It was felt like the people in there were really, like, you talk about kind of a family and, you know, a community. And that's what it felt like. It felt like everybody was there on my side. So it was,
that's a fair point.
I could have a conversation with them.
Well, you could see their eyes for the first time in a while. I guess you're used to playing toilets, but although it wasn't a toilet,
no, it was small. Yeah.
So you could hear their conversations.
You could hear their conversations.
You could hear a pin drop. In London, there was a lot of respect.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
liked.
And it's just
Apart
nice
from Liz,
to see. Yeah. But it's good to see the expressions as well.
I loved it. Do you enjoy touring? What's the good stuff and the bad stuff about touring? Obviously, missing your family. What's the good thing and bad things about touring?
It's very. I guess what kind of touring? In the old days, touring was hard because you had to do everything yourself. You got to the venue. If you were in a van, you're loading in yourself. You're setting up, sound checking. Then you get a little break, but it's usually because the venues are quite small and, you know, Gavin calls them bog holes. We would be like...
Always moved on
this
that.
This was probably even before Gav joined the band.
Changed.
So when you do get some downtime, it's in this hideous black cupboard in the back of the stage, which, you know... And then you do the show, then you have to pack down, go to a hotel, and then by that time it's 2:00.
But you're speaking now, of course, there's a big important part of it is speaking to people. Do you still do that? Are you on the merch stall and stuff?
No.
Oh, right.
We had to stop that.
That's interesting.
And that was a thing.
That's interesting.
There came a point where it was just got too big to be able
because that's part of the gig, especially in the area in which you work. That is part of the gig.
Yeah.
Is to speak to people, is that one-to-one thing, selfies, but now people are charging for it, aren't
exactly
they?
and it's that
why did it get too difficult then?
I think one, we did have to start doing this meet and greet where you pay a bit more, which it's always sat uncomfortably with me. It's not rock and roll. It's a bit like
musicians should be making a living.
They have to, and
musicians have to make a living, so it's...
But we couldn't. There's no, especially when we were touring USA, our wages, the little wages that we did get from those first US tours, were all from the meet and greets that we did. Yeah. Because the tour lost money. So otherwise we wouldn't have gone.
Nothing wrong with musicians playing.
But there is still a problem. I mean, you know, things like pay more money and you get a seat at the front. You know, I can't stand that idea, and I would never ever do that. So we had to. That was one of the reasons, and another reason was it was so big. That you go out there and it would just be
too many people.
Yeah. And I dare say there's a perception issue. So we are the guys that you see on the record sleeve that come on stage. If all of a sudden you're coming out and having a beer with then the perception is very, very different.
Which what the Pet Shop Boys said, which is why they resisted being on social media for so long.
Yeah,
they said, we don't want to be close to people. We're supposed to be.
Why should I want to know what they have for breakfast or what they're walking their dog or I don't want to know that. I don't want to see them with his crazy sunglasses and hats and outfits. You
mean the pop star, by the way, not the punters.
Yes,
just to be absolutely clear. Just to be absolutely clear, you do want to know what the fans have for breakfast.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
That's very interesting.
Make that absolutely clear. Would you like to write songs with people? Do you think you could do that? Is that something? Who's your dream songwriting?
Never ever done it. Talking to Jonas about doing some stuff together. Whether that ever happens is another matter.
Make it happen.
Yeah,
you're going to have to go there.
I think if I'd have to know them well, you see, these people.
Oh,
right. I know Jonas well. In fact, I'm going to Stockholm this Friday for his birthday party.
Well, make it happen.
So I will speak to him.
The cheesiest thing you could possibly do at his birthday party. Hey, man! we should write a song. Let's write a hit.
Let's do an album.
I know someone who needs a theme tune. Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody? Two questions in one. What advice would you give to someone who is starting out and wants to play rock music? And what advice would you give to someone who's in a semi-successful prog rock band and wants to do something solo?
I think if you're starting out, it's very different, I guess, now to even how it was when I was starting out. But I think the one piece of advice I have for people is that it's like having a dog, isn't it? It's for life. You don't just become a songwriter or start a band because I'm just going to do it for a year and see what happens. You don't. You do it because it's your passion and you never stop. And then if you get success, then that's a bonus.
It's not like a dog. It's like being in jail. It sounds like you're a lifer.
Lifer, yeah.
Are you a lifer?
I'm afraid I am.
Wow.
I'm afraid I am. Yeah. And I remember saying to my wife when I first met her, I came out with this really cheesy stuff. I said, "You do realise that if you get together with me, then you are also getting together with my passion, my music, because I will never ever stop."
You saw into the future. You've got crystal balls.
And then if you're in a semi-successful band and you want to go solo, well, why not? Just do it. Just do it. And it's definitely possible to do both.
But they're different disciplines. How are they different disciplines? If you're writing for the band and you're writing for... Do you sit down and go, okay, it's solo album time, Gav's not hearing these?
Yeah.
Or do you have a bank of songs and you go, okay, that's going into that folder, that's going
No. I think the last solo album I wrote when Porcupine Tree were busy. So I thought, right, I'm on my own in my studio now for 4 or 5 months, and that was it. I just got my head down and wrote and got myself in a solo headspace.
That's very disciplined.
It is disciplined.
But is that good artistically?
That's a good question. Because
if you're talking about right brain earlier.
You are. And that's the other thing about moving full time is that I'd wake up every day, take my daughter to school, and then, right, I'm going to go and write some songs. And you could argue that actually that's probably that's contradicting what I said earlier.
But it is your job.
And this actually reminds me of what happened with my latest... So the songs I've written for my upcoming solo record is that I actually wrote most of it on tour, and I've never ever done that before.
Okay.
So we had quite a lot of days off, and days off are really quite strange because the bus pulls up at a hotel, and it's usually in the middle of nowhere, and you wave everyone goodbye, and you find yourself in this nondescript hotel room for the day, not knowing what to do.
Yeah, because those idiots, they'll be off, looking at art galleries.
Steve and Darren will find the nearest craft beer place and they'd be there
which is why they haven't got a solo career.
Exactly. So, but I would force myself. So what I've done, we've done this before where I've thought, right, I'm going to write an album with all the downtime on tour, and I've never done a thing. Yeah. But what I did this time is I said, just write a song. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
Write a song.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about right now? Put it into a song, and don't stop because you think that it's not good enough. That's the other thing about being a songwriter. You've got these high values, quality control, and so many times I play something and go, that's not good enough, and you'd be torturing yourself. And whereas this time I'd say, right, just play something, and I'd play something, and then I'd sing, and I'd come up with some basic words and ideas and do a top line. And they all came out really, really well.
That's really interesting, because of course that would be the single, when you're asked, when this record comes out, it's the single most boring answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're really on tour, man.
LA
is a sucking city.
Well, luckily I didn't write it about the town.
New York is... Oh, right.
Yeah, but I did name the working titles are all
after
Copenhagen, Oslo, and...
Well, I guess the atmosphere of where you are can... Oh, my God, it's cold.
Well, I think it's the loneliness.
Oh, right, okay.
And the separation.
In a good way.
Yeah, that's what was the inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And what's it going to sound like? When's it coming out?
I don't know.
Give us the exclusive.
It should be...
It's written?
It's written. I need to record it.
Oh, right, okay. As we stand.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it'll be early next year.
Oh, right, okay.
And delivering it in September at the latest. So this time I'm actually in a good position because I've told the label, yeah, you can get it in September, and I've actually written it.
It's bonkers. It's
Whereas
so
before-
bonkers. It's so bonkers, isn't it? That you write something in 1 year, record it in another year, and it's not out for another
I know,
year.
it's a slow process, isn't it? This has been a slow burner, this one. I've kind of been in and out.
Was there hits on it?
Yeah, there's
radio hits on it.
There's melody, but there's
Oh,
also
okay.
a 15-minute song,
Excellent.
which I developed when I was on tour.
Excellent.
It's not 15 minutes of prog as you would think. It's not. It's very acoustic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's just something that just ran away from you.
It did. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, grab the baritone guitar, and as promised, give us a special exclusive number there on the Kscope Podcast Sessions. Bruce Soord, welcome. What song are you going to be playing for?
Well,
today?
because you insisted it had to be on the baritone guitar.
I love the baritone guitar.
This one is a sort of fun thing on my mind, which is I'll have to do an interpretation.
Take it away when you're
Okay,
ready.
right.
Bruce Soord, everyone.
Every waking dawn, it's you I see, coming back to me. Whoa, everything you did is a part of me, ripped apart from me. Whoa. How could you get to be this cold? How did I let you get so far from me? We got it so wrong, so wrong. How did we get to be this cold? Whoa. Every waking dawn, it's you I see, coming back to me. Whoa. Everything you did is a part of me, ripped apart from me. Whoa. How did we get to be this cold? How did I let you get so far from me? We got it so wrong, so wrong. How did we get to be this cold?
Thank you so much, Karma. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was brilliant. Thank you very much. The remastering of the first solo album at Abbey Road,
Yeah.
half-speed mastering. Why is that such a big deal? Because it's on the sales notes.
Yeah, it's a big thing. I mean,
Why?
to be honest, you'd have to speak to Steve, the mastering engineer,
I
about
will.
what the beauty is of half-speed mastering is. And I guess, it's the vinyl world, it's a different world, isn't it?
What is half-speed mastering, though?
Do you know what?
Why is everything going at half speed? Why does that make it better?
No idea.
So I'm
Speak
just writing
to
this
Steve.
down. Studio nerd, but not mastering
No,
nerd.
exactly.
I'm going to ask Steve. Join me as we play prog rock group or poisonous mushroom.
All right, go.
Bruce Soord. There's 10 of these.
All right.
Prog rock group or poisonous mushroom. Aphrodite's Child.
Oh, that's a prog rock group, isn't it?
Correct. Secret Green.
No, that's got to be a Poison.
It's a band.
No.
Sorry, Secret Green. Conifer Disco.
There's no way you call a poisonous mushroom a disco. That's got to be a band.
Incorrect.
Oh, that's
it's
not
a mushroom.
fair. That's a trick question. Right,
but
come on.
They're all trick questions.
That's
but
1 out
always-
of 3.
Oh, God, you're much more competitive than I thought. Satan's Bolette.
Mushroom.
Correct. Red Nova. Mushroom or band?
Band.
It is a band. Well done.
Okay.
Pink Crowns.
Mushroom.
It is a mushroom. God, he's good.
Yes,
It's
come on.
Arctic Plant.
Arctic Plant. That sounds like a band to me.
It is a band. Obviously, I'm asking the right guy here. Destroying Angel.
Oh, well, that's... Oh. Band.
It's a mushroom.
No, I was going to say mushroom.
Amanta Verna.
Mushroom.
It is a mushroom, yeah. And finally, Siren's Legacy.
Well, surely Siren's Legacy. I've got all their albums.
Well done. 7, I think. It is a band. It's 7.
That's pretty good.
That's Thank you for joining me.
That must put
as
me
we
top.
played so far. Yeah, because you're the only person that's played Poisonous Mushroom or prog rock group.
Excellent.
Thank you very much indeed.
Marvellous. My huge thanks to Bruce Soord, and you can hear the second half of that exclusive interview a little bit later in the year. Now, we heard the beautiful story behind Field Day, one of the standout tracks of Bruce Soord's first solo album, which is out now on Kscope. Let's hear Field Day Part 1 in full.
If you knew how beautiful the breeze blew when everybody left you in this field, you look out, step by step you move out, 'cause everybody left you in this field with the precision of the sleepwalkers. I know that road so well. They'll hunt you down and leave you lifeless.